Hi everyone, how are you? I hope you're all doing well this week. This is David here with You First Weekly number 33. For this week's video, we wanted to focus on the other side of the coaching equation, which is the role of the coachee. So how does somebody bring themselves to coaching? So I'm having a chat with Ian all about that. And over the course of this conversation, Ian focused on a couple of things, including this idea of the three C's. So he recommends that anyone coming to coaching that they should be curious, that they should be courageous, and that they should be committed. And he expands on what all that means in the video. Ian also offers a handy little formula that he uses with his coaching clients to help them think about the types of results they're trying to get from their coaching. And as well as this, we also talk about the idea of being coachable and what that means for anyone who's thinking about bringing themselves to coaching. So I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Thanks a million for tuning in and watching and being with us. It's great to have you on board, and we'll be back next week. See you then. Bye-bye. So I was reflecting on our last couple of conversations on this stuff. I'm wondering if you could tell me or talk to me about what's the coachee's role in all of this, and how do they bring themselves, or what are the couple of things that a coachee needs to think about when they come to coaching? Because I think we've spoken about the way coaching tries to expose the most dominant voices in your world, and the types of questions that we try to ask people, and how we get people to think about performance and the like. But the other part of this equation is the person who's coming to us looking for a bit of coaching.
The first prerequisite is the coachee would have to be curious. And what I mean by curious is they're open to investigating their story. And I'll explain what I mean by their story in a second. But curious to know what they can do and how they can bring themselves to get better results. So it's really, really simple. The idea of engaging with a coach is to get a different perspective on how you're currently viewing the world as it presents itself to you. And by having a different perspective, you're aiming to get different and better results than you're currently getting. So the first thing is to be curious. The second thing is to carry a degree of courage. And the courage is about having the wherewithal to look into yourself. Because again, if you engage with a good coach, they're going to hold a mirror and reflect your story back to you. And sometimes we won't like what we hear necessarily, because the idea of, again, I'll reiterate, engaging with a coach is to be getting better results. So as you unfold your story and unpick your story with someone who's holding that safe space for you, you may hear your story back to yourself from that person as it reflects parts that maybe are uncomfortable. So it's the courage to go into that discomfort. How does that sound to you?
That makes sense. Yeah. Challenging.
Yeah, it's a challenging space to be in if you're committed, which is another C word. If you're committed to actually putting yourself in a space where you can do differently and get better.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all about in the world of coaching, is looking at methodology that allows you to get more from what you're doing. So whether that's like easier of, less effort for, whichever it is. Ultimately, you want to be getting better results than you're currently getting.
Yeah. So we're talking curiosity, courage. The third C then is commitment. Yeah.
You're looking, and you're committing yourself to honestly investigating, interrogating your story,
Mhm.
because again, in a safe space, you get the opportunity to hear yourself unfurl that story
Mhm.
in ways that maybe uncover some of the blocks that are preventing you from getting the results you want to get,
Yeah.
or uncovering some of the rigid thinking that is stopping you from seeing the opportunities to get better results than you're currently getting.
Yeah.
And then just simply to give you a different perspective.
Mhm.
And that's where you have the aha light bulb moments where you're just going to go, oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
just never looked at life that way. Someone says something to you just because they're holding a different perspective. It's not because
Mhm.
they're the oracle. It's not because you're stupid. It's just you would never have seen it from that point of view. And
Yeah.
that can be phenomenal unlocking.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds to me, because it's almost like a little formula emerging: C cubed equals. For me, it's a word that you used on another chat we had recently. Coachable. And I know it's a question that you sometimes pose to people: is are you coachable? So if you're curious, if you're courageous, if you're what's the other one now? I'm forgetting it.
Committed.
Committed.
And yeah,
You're potentially making yourself coachable.
yeah. And to be coachable, I mean, the first thing is putting yourself in the way
Yeah.
of someone who's going to hold a mirror for you.
Yeah.
Um, but the most important thing is being open to doing something with what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
And that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
So we have a very simple formula in below the line,
Mhm.
and that is I plus A squared equals R. So it's I for intention
Mhm.
plus A squared. So that's like a double A.
Yeah.
Your attention and the action you take on that attention.
Okay.
So it's like I plus A equals R,
Mhm.
R being the results you're going to get. So the first thing to do is unlock your intention. And that for some people could be the dream, that can be the goal, that can be the aspiration.
Yeah.
But whatever your intention is, you then look and see, well, what am I putting my attention on?
Yeah.
So where's my focus going? And then what action am I taking on what I'm putting my attention on?
Yeah.
So when we talk about being coachable, it's like, are you willing to take action? Are you willing to listen? But more importantly, are you willing to hear?
Yeah.
And that's what leads to your results.
Yeah. Especially if, as you explore your story, which you referred to earlier, you might hear bits back that make you wince a bit, or make you recoil a bit, or make you go, "Oh, that's
And,
tricky."
and like, it's interesting to use the story piece, okay?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people take that to mean, so there's one story I have from my life. What if I don't know my story? You've many stories in your life, but
Yeah.
we carry our stories with us. We carry the story of our life through us. And we're displaying that and showing that in every interaction.
Mhm.
So, you could be years coaching, and what you'll find is that the greatest athletes have coaches. The best of musicians, the best of artists, all have personal coaches because they always have someone who's working with them on honing their craft, on being a better version of what they are going forward. So, from a business point of view or a life point of view, it seems kind of ridiculous that we'd imagine that we can go about being our best version of ourselves without taking counsel from somewhere, without having people around us who can help guide us. And
Yeah.
that's all you're doing. That's all you're doing in connecting with a coach, is
Yeah.
you're bringing someone into your circle that can help you identify parts of your story that you can reshape, reframe, and that you can now put attention to and take action on.
Yeah. What if you're not coachable? What? Because I'm sure you see this or come across it. Now, I know you don't work with people who aren't coachable, but if someone's asking themselves that question, or when does it not work?
It doesn't work when someone isn't willing to see an ulterior view, when someone isn't willing to reframe, when someone isn't willing to see it from a different perspective, or when someone believes that they have the answer anyway and they know.
Mm-hmm.
So coaching isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will say that's it's a soft skill. That's the wishy-washy stuff. It's no accident that the soft skills happen to be the hardest things to work on. So whoever framed them soft skills. So yeah, I'd say the people who won't enjoy coaching are people who generally aren't that curious on a personal level and who believe that they have it, they have it all, they have the answer, and that they are. And sure, if they are, they are.
Yeah. Yeah.